6.2 Breaking rules. Rules cannot exist without rule breakers. After all, what is the purpose of a rule if nobody ever breaks it? At this point, we are discussing entities who break the rules within an organization, not predators. There are different kinds of rule breakers within an organization. The largest dichotomy is between ignorant rule breakers who usually do not know that they are breaking rules and conscious rule breakers who know that they are doing so. Ignorant rule breakers are usually forgiven, no matter how irritating they are to the usual scheme of things, while conscious rule breakers may or may not be punished. Let us examine the types of rule breakers with the caveat that this is almost certainly an incomplete list of categories. 6.2.1 Children. Children are assumed to have incomplete knowledge and comprehension of rules, and hence are given a large leeway in their violation of rules. For example, even though it's socially unacceptable to pee in public, very young children are not censured for accidentally doing so. By the time they are 3 years old, however, it is commonly expected that they will have much less frequent accidents. Similarly, a graduate in a first job may spend many months figuring out the social rules around work, attendance, lunch, and inter-departmental relations after she joins a firm. Any violations are usually assumed to be due to ignorance. 6.2.2 Visitors. Visitors are capable of following rules, but they may often break rules because the rules are different in a new context. Tourists often dress inappropriately when they visit other countries. A manager visiting a different country is often ignorant of the cultural norms around gifting, exchanging business cards, or how organizational hierarchy impacts the order of introduction. Visitors are irritating when they make mistakes, and their old habits acquired in a home location can take a long time to unlearn in a new context. If they are visiting for a short time, then the hosts may often make no effort to change the visitor's behavior. If such visitors occur frequently, then the rude and irritating behavior may be accepted as the new norm for this specific context. The next few types of rule breakers are conscious rule breakers. They know the rules and they break them deliberately. How an organization deals with conscious rule breakers is also different. 6.2.3 Marginal rule breakers. Marginal rule breakers are a natural consequence of the dispersion of rule compliance among entities. Pick any rule and you will immediately find marginal rule breakers, depending upon the intensity of enforcement. We have all broken some rules on the margin, driving a few miles above the speed limit, coming a few minutes late to meetings, and so on. 6.2.4 Teenagers. Teenagers are entities who rebel and act out against the rules when they learn and comprehend them. Perhaps this is motivated by rebellion against increasing restrictions as they grow up from the relative freedom of childhood. Perhaps this is driven by an innate drive to try out different rules. There is always a tension between the socialization of children into existing rules and norms and the need to discover new forms of the rules and norms. 6.2.5 Central Rule Breakers. Central rule breakers are the most complex and the rarest of rule breakers. This is not your common garden variety rule breaker. This is an entity which breaks the rules after a long time in the core of the system, one who knows all the rules and knows the ramifications of breaking any specific rule. A central rule breaker has had success working with the rules of the organization and then uses deep insights to break the rules in a fundamental manner. With each incident of conscious rule breaking, a vaguely specified norm moves towards a clearer definition. This also accelerates the move towards the codification of norms into rules and the forced separation of entities along the continuum of rule acceptance. Thus, each rule draws more clearly the boundary of the organization. During this phase, the symbiotes initially left out of the organization are grudgingly accepted for their indispensability in doing essential tasks that the organizational entities will not do.